As I look back, I see that my story could have gone in a very, very different way. And I want to share this with you so you don't make a mistake, so you don't miss your opportunity, you don't miss the answer to your prayer. Hello, my name is Inga. If you and I are meeting for the first time, and if you do know me, I will say hello to you again. If you know me, you know that I've been sharing my story about how I was able to transform my life after losing both of my legs, and my left arm was paralyzed in a tragic car accident at the age of 22. I began my journey in a very, very hopeless situation. I was so injured that I could not breathe, I could not move, I could not speak, I could not do anything independently. In ICU, I was even hooked up to a life support machine. I could not even breathe by myself. That tragedy really destroyed the life that I had at the time. Many people claimed that this car accident destroyed my life. I lived in a city that did not have wheelchair access. It was not wheelchair accessible environment. And so basically I was imprisoned by the walls of my own home. It seemed like my life just totally stopped, and there was no way to change my circumstances. Praise is to the Lord that with God there is always a way, there is always hope. 3 years later, I was able to travel by myself from my home country, Lithuania, to California, United States, and successfully established a vibrant, independent, and fulfilling life despite all odds and despite my traumatic injuries. And my story shows that all things are possible with God if you believe, and if you are ready to do whatever it takes to overcome and to win the fight for your life. There is one aspect that I want to share because it has the power to break it or to make it, so to speak. And this critical aspect is our choices when the inspiration comes. Have you had situations when you greatly desired for something, you dreamed about something, and then at some point a thought comes to mind to do something about it? An idea of how to implement your desire, how your dream could be possible. Or let's say if you pray to the Lord about your problem, your situation, whatever that is, and then a thought comes to call someone, to go somewhere, to take some kind of action that has to do with that request. What did you do about it when you were inspired to take that action? Did you act upon it? Or did you dismiss that thought just like another thought out of those gazillion thoughts that randomly come to your mind? I ask you those questions because your choices to act upon the inspiration are critical. In my personal life story, they directed my path to the blessing. If I hadn't acted when I was inspired to do something, now I know that I would have missed my answer to prayers. I would have missed my opportunity. I praise the Lord for my life's transformation because it was Him who gave me the inspiration. It was Him who gave me that strength, who created the new opportunities for me and gave me the success in all my efforts. And I know that I couldn't have made it without Him. I could not have made it without Lord's help. But having the Lord's blessing does not mean that I was just sitting and waiting for my answers to drop out of the sky. Actually, my efforts, my resilience, my determination and grit, that tenacity, were as critical as the Lord's blessing. I know that I would not have had these testimonies in my life if I were idle, lazy, fearful, or easily compelled to give up and let it go when things got tough. I would not have made it as well. For instance, my first big miracle when I was connected online with an American prosthetic specialist. After a week of communication back and forth via email about my prosthesis and what was the problem, this specialist told me that he realized a coincidence, that he was scheduled to give a seminar in Turkey in a few weeks or so, and he thought it would be great if I could travel to Turkey to meet him so he could evaluate my physical condition and my prosthetics. And so I traveled to Istanbul and we met there, and after that he visited prosthetic company in Lithuania, and then he invited me to California and made prosthesis himself as a gift to me. And that's how the Lord responded to my request to walk again in a wonderful way. And it's a beautiful testimony, very inspiring story. It inspires even me about not giving up, but working hard and doing whatever it takes to achieve your dream. But see, behind the story, there are those little crossroads that were critical. And you hear me saying that the Lord has connected me. But before the Lord connected us, there was something that I needed to do. In my testimony, I share how it was a dark, dark day when negative thoughts were bombarding me, that you are not going to achieve this. This is impossible. You will never walk again. It was very dark. I was on the edge to say this is impossible, but I still refused to give up. And when I said, Lord, I don't believe that all people who lost their limbs cannot walk with prosthetic legs. I just cannot accept that. And that moment when I refused to give up and sought the Lord about it, I received an inspiration. A thought came to mind: go online and look for prosthetic help worldwide. It was just a thought, one time. See, nobody called me. Nobody told me, Inga, we know this American specialist who is going to make prosthesis for you. It was just a thought, which had many questions. And then what? How many thoughts like that have you had? And how did you respond to that thought? You know, when I received that thought to go online, I felt a very strong inspiration. I felt enlightened. You know, I felt, yes, that's exactly what I'm going to do. And I went into my room and I began my research, and I didn't even know where to even begin. But I pursued it. I pursued what I was inspired to do. Again, it was just a thought, just an inspiration. And I could have easily dismissed it. Or I could neglected it by my negative attitude, by my unbelief and pessimistic attitude, saying what a nonsense, and look for help worldwide. And then what? And what's the point? I don't have the money to buy prosthesis. I cannot travel. I don't know English well. I could have come up with many reasons why it was a crazy idea. And if I had dismissed that thought and pushed that inspiration aside from my pessimistic attitude, I would have never done the research. I would have never met that American prosthetic specialist. And I would have never had those prosthetic legs. I would never had danced as I did. And probably I would not have come to California. If I had listened to my pessimistic thoughts, or if I was fearful, or I was idle, I would have probably up to this day had waited and waited and waited and asked God, where are you? Why are you not listening to me? Do you see how one choice, one choice to act upon the inspiration directed the 17 years of my life. And I don't know, my English was not as good, but still I tried. And when I began researching those websites about the prosthetic industry, I felt like I jumped into the ocean with very, very weak swimming skills. It seemed like no matter how much I tried with my skills, I could not get to the shore. You know, when I was reading the content, I did not understand a thing. And I realized that this inspiration to do the research and seek help worldwide was beyond my grasp. But I knew I had to find a way to make this happen. So what I did, I found a dictionary. I think somewhere I even have it here. Oh, here you are. Here, I have this dictionary. It's an old dictionary. Anglo-Ruski словарь, it's English-Russian dictionary. And so I took this particular dictionary and I began reading those websites, basically translating nearly every other word in order to understand that content. And I spent countless hours. I spent day and night searching, reading, trying to grasp that complicated content with the specialized terms about prosthetics. And this way, after some time, I got the basics. And one night, when I felt another very strong inspiration urging me to email those companies that I liked, I wrote an email, I sent it, and then I received a response on the next day. That one choice, that one email was life-changing.